minutes.
In the middle of conversation here. Okay.
Yeah.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Sorry if we started a little late. We're chatting in the background here. So I have Eric here from Rule the Wasteland.
Welcome.
So welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
Talk current events and anything
else
to chat about.
There's a lot of current events. I think that'll keep us busy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I have so many articles open. And I'm sure you have lots to talk about.
Yeah.
So I think we just got to jump right in. Is there anything in particular that you wanted to?
Man, there's a bunch of stuff. One of the things that I was actually going to make a video on recently, probably still will, was like the weird balance, and I'm sure you'll have seen this too, but as like a YouTube prepper, between like seeing how bad things are getting and then realizing and trying not to do like every video is like, oh my God, it's the end of the world.
Right.
This is inflation. But I'm like looking at my own, and people have said that, and they comment on people like Canadian Prepper because of his titles and stuff. And I'm like, I don't think he's being dishonest. And like, look at my titles. Like, all this stuff's real. You know, what are you supposed to title it? And then if you do, and then to counteract that too, I go make a video. I'm like, fine, I'll make a video about my sun oven, 200 views. And I'm like, all right.
Right. Something like an actual skill that people are actually really going to need.
Right.
Like, forget that.
So like the titles, I forgive people a lot because that makes a big difference in the algorithm. You know, if you just make like a kind of scary title, but you're not being dishonest, I don't care. You know what I mean? And I definitely don't see that as being the case. Like, people will treat the like Southern Prepper one's boots on the ground videos a lot differently than like Canadian Preppers videos, when they're basically the same thing. You know, they just, he titles them differently, and that's it. And I got to try and get some views too. You know, if the same exact video with the same exact content is going to get twice as many views because I make the title a little more dramatic sounding, even though it's still true, then I'm going to do that. Because if you think that the information is going to help someone, then it's probably the better thing to do anyway. You're never going to lie about it and be like, I'm quitting YouTube, and then not, stuff like that. But also, it's getting weird up there. Like, some of these things I don't have to exaggerate much. You can just repeat real headlines and stuff, and it just feels like there's just so many crazy things going on right now.
Like, I don't even believe half of it. I'm like, is this really like?
Yeah, it's so like you can't even get it all. It's just flying by. Like, I mean, just everything. Yeah, it's wild. I was one of the video, like I was talking about making a video. Like, I'm looking at all these people's titles, and one of the exact titles that like 20 people have used is "I have a bad feeling." Like, that's it.
Yeah, right.
It's just like a general sense of like, oh man, this is getting bad, and not in the way that it necessarily is going to be the most serious, but I've been doing videos for 10 years, and it's always with the understanding that something could happen. Never before with the understanding that something probably is going to happen within the next year or two, which is like what most people are feeling right now, it seems like.
Yeah, no, it totally feels like that, especially with inflation at what was it, 9.1%?
Officially, yeah.
Officially, yeah. And then they actually said in Seattle, it's more like 10%. Like, Seattle's a little bit different, I guess, right now. Like, they're feeling a little bit harder for some reason, but I didn't read the article that much. I just saw the headline. I meant to go into it later, but I didn't. But yeah, so apparently they're feeling it a little bit harder, and but our good old government's just like, no, we're fine. Like, it's no big deal.
They're just brushing it off. And I mean, there's a couple videos like the PPI or the CPI was 9.1%, but there's another one like the CPI, which is like the producer price index. That one was even higher. So like the stuff that the people who are making things have to pay, that's like 11%. And like you said, some cities are worse than others. Like, I know here in Vegas and in Phoenix, rent specifically is the highest in the nation. So rents alone over the past year have gone up like 23%. It's insane. There's a Heroes News.
No.
So I'm like, even though I do think housing prices are probably going to crap out over the next 2 years, like, I'm so glad I bought a spot, because I don't think rents are going to get any cheaper. When they do crap out, like, interest rates will be really high, and it'll be hard to get a loan, so no one will be able to take advantage of the prices, and rents will still probably go up. Like, literally the place we were renting before was like $1,350, something like that. And now it's like $1,900, $2,000, like a year later. That's like a huge increase. Like, who has an extra like $400 or $500 a month? The things, but no big deal. You know what I mean?
Like, nobody. That's the problem. Nobody can afford these rising rents, and but like, people can buy a house, but then like, it's the down payments. They can't afford it because they're paying so much in rent that they can't even save for a down payment for
this. And then the gas too. Like, so that's not the only thing. The gas is up, food is up, and It's crazy. And then meanwhile, everything that anyone would have, like stocks or crypto or, that's all. So then it's just like a double whammy. Yeah.
Yeah. We had somebody who said that they were going to retire like within this year because they were investing in stocks and they were like doing really good. And then the beginning of the year, it just down.
Like, oh, never mind.
Yeah. And they're so sad right now. They're just like, man, I have to keep working. And like, I mean, it sucks, like we all have these plans and like they're literally being shot down because
everything it's brutal. And I think it's going to get worse, specifically with food. Like we've all seen all the different headlines about food and all the weird stuff. Like not only is there restrictions because of Ukraine and Russia, but also all these fires and cattle dropping dead and just weird stuff. And then the Dutch farmers, like all weird stuff. Like the second,
that's right.
Like they're the second
really
biggest
organized protest. I like that.
I do like that. I like that they're just not taking it. Yeah. But who knows how it's going to end? You still take the biggest or second biggest agricultural exporter outside the United States, and like they want them to cut their production by like 30% or something. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's totally ridiculous.
And like really right now, now's when you're going to do this, not like wait a year until all this settles out. Like it's just, that's why so many people, it's easy to see why people think that it's on purpose. And I don't know if it is or not, but it's certainly easy to see, like to come to that conclusion because of how like obviously bad of an idea this would be otherwise.
Yeah. It all seems a little too coincidental and like all kind of just collapsing all at the same time in on itself. It's not just like, oh, this happened and then a year later this fire happened and then another 6 months later this happened. Like it's all just like coming in.
It's literally everything at once, which is what's so crazy. That's why there's like how are there shortages in like literally everything at the same time? It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then another one that's been weirding me out is like the labor shortage. Like everything's so expensive, but everyone is like staffing. So I don't know if that's just like a go-to excuse or if people like what are people doing? Or is literally no one just working?
We keep having this discussion. This is probably like
I have no idea what's going on.
Live stream with somebody that I've talked to about this. I still don't understand. A lot of people are saying there's a lot of people that are retiring, and then, but like that would account for a little percentage, but there's so much
and like pilots have really that many pilots retired since last year, or doctors or all these other weird special, you know what I mean? Like the only thing I can think of is that because we really haven't seen a huge increase in any sort of like government payments, like they haven't really started major UBIs or massively bumped up unemployment and food stamps. So all I'm thinking is that more and more people are shifting to like gig type work and not bothering to go through or put up with the BS from like a real job, so to speak. That's my only guess, because otherwise I'm like, this is way worse than like literally a year or two ago, right before the pandemic. And I don't think unemployment numbers are like just out of skyrocketing officially. So I don't know what all these people are doing.
I think what you're saying with the gigs and starting your own business and stuff like that, I think that's really skyrocketing lately, especially with 2020, with everybody, getting laid off or, this or the other. They were just like, well, I got to make money somehow. And they just kind of stuck with it. So I think a lot of people are doing that and they just don't want to go get that, crappy retail job or whatever, that fast food job because they don't have to. But there's still, all this need. I mean, eventually it's either going to go one way. All the business that needs that labor is going to collapse, or they're going to get a whole bunch of robots to
or they're just going to have to jack up wages, I guess, to get people in there,
which they are. I've seen fast food places offering like $18-20+ an hour. I'm like, that's great.
It is getting way, and that's what I'm saying. Like, what are these people doing otherwise? Like if they get up to 25-30, they can give me a call. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'll go flip some burgers.
Kind of thought about it. I'm like,
it's actually not that stressful of a job. You just especially if you're in the back. I did that in high school. As long as you're not working the counter, you don't even get yelled at. You just put some burgers together.
Exactly.
Might even let you wear headphones or something. I was fast too. I was like, the problem was they always made me work the register because I was like not retarded. So they, I could actually count change. I wouldn't like spit or strike at the people. I would be quick and courteous. So they would just always put me on like dealing with the customers. And I'm like,
I love how that's like a reason for putting you on the front. You don't strike people. Good job.
Like you've never like spit or struck anyone or stole from the register, or you don't come to work on drugs. So you got to deal with the people. You got to deal with the people. So maybe I would have to get like a fake face tattoo, and then then you get to work in the kitchen.
There you go. That's it.
But yeah, like the Chick-fil-A, I could work for Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, they actually pay pretty good.
Yeah,
And they have Sundays off.
Right, that's true. You're at least never going to work 7 days a week.
Right.
It's not a bad plan. Well, that's
all
part
right.
of what I was talking about with the house. Like that was the situation I was trying to get in. Like as long as I lock in, even though the price I paid was overpriced to me, now my payments locked in. It's less than the rent a lot less than the rent is for these current places. And if I needed to, I could go get a minimum wage job and at least be able to pay my mortgage.
Yeah.
Or not minimum wage, but like the fast food job, like lowest level. I don't think anyone's actually paying minimum wage anymore, because why would they if you can go work at McDonald's for $12 an hour or whatever?
Yeah, they can't pay minimum wage, and you're not putting anybody in that way.
Get it? Yeah.
Okay, a couple comments here. Let's see about young people don't want to work. I don't know.
Well, that's my point. Is that, like, so what are they doing?
Yeah, exactly. They have to.
Are they just leeching off their parents? And these, like I said, these are like the types of jobs that you hear about staffing issues are not typically the ones that teenagers would be doing. It's stuff like airline pilots, auto mechanics, stuff like that, to where they're like, oh, staffing. And you're like, what?
And it's people not picking up those professions, I guess. I mean, that's the only thing I have.
But right. Has that kicked in within the last like 18 months?
Yeah. I don't know.
And so at the same time that everything is super expensive and everything is getting harder for people to live, everything is being like bought out too at the same time. Like even different types of like not interior, but like remodeling, and all those people are booked up and everything too. So I don't know where all this money's coming from.
I don't know.
Because there hasn't been that, like, obviously there's massive inflation. Like I just made a video about this. They're making money like crazy, but that hasn't really made its way into everyone's wages yet. Like we've seen this stuff go up at like McDonald's, but like not everyone's getting 20, 30, 50% raises. So like, I don't know where all this money is coming from. Maybe just the housing prices for the time being. And because like I said, stocks aren't doing well. Crypto's not doing well. Gold and silver is basically flat for the year. It's up like 1% or something. So nothing has made people money considering that, or compared to the first of the year. So
I don't know.
Maybe it's all, I guess, credit, is expanding. Maybe it's all being done on credit. Who knows?
Unfortunately, that could be true.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the numbers on that, because I'm not sure exactly what's happening with like private credit and stuff like that.
I'm not sure either. We don't really have, like me personally, we don't really have too much credit, and we keep trying to like get out of it. But
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah. Let me see. Let's see. Work. Okay. Kids in my area work. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing. Mandates plus premature deaths plus increased stress plus retiring baby boomers. Yeah. So the baby boomer thing again. I keep hearing that. That's just.
I'm sure that's part of it, but again, like you were saying earlier, I'm sure some people's retirements have been kind of slowed down or delayed because of their portfolios getting hammered like that. So a lot of it might be, someone brought a good point, because we are seeing a ton of like unexplained deaths, and maybe they're just still trying to paper that over, and like, because we know that like airline pilots and stuff, maybe everyone's just dropping like flies, and it hasn't been like put out there yet to where like, there's some staffing shortages, and everyone's just like, I mean, it's crazy if you look at like the actuarial numbers for life insurance and stuff, like the number of cardiac and and circulatory events that have happened over that's scary stuff.
Yeah.
Wild.
All right. Well, besides, I guess shortages, do you think that the labor shortage? Do you think that there's going to be another lockdown from monkeypox or the new variants or anything like that?
I don't think so for monkeypox. Like, it's funny because there's been all these like diseases over the years, and everyone's like, oh, we do this every time. It's like, I haven't done it every time. Like I originally, when it was like Ebola, I was like, when it was like swine flu, I was like, no one really cared, did they? And then when
Ebola was here, it was like here in the airport in like Dallas or something. It was like, in there. And
for the same reason, because it's much, much harder to spread than something like COVID. That's why early on when I was doing live streams with like Shay and JJ, when COVID was just starting. We were like, if what they're saying is true about how like serious this is, it could be bad because of how easily it spreads. And luckily they had overestimated or lied about the seriousness of it, but not about how easily it spreads. So that's why that was something to watch out for. And with the monkeypox, it's back to the same thing. Like, it doesn't spread anywhere near as easily as a respiratory virus. It takes like actual close physical contact, stuff like that. So like, I don't know how you could be worried about that.
But. Now, I saw an article that said it came here to San Antonio, and they were like, it's here, but threat is low. So they're just like, nah, you're fine.
Right. It'd be like, you have to catch it the same way you'd catch like herpes or something. So it's like, if you don't touch anyone, it's incredibly, incredibly unlikely that you would get it.
I don't want to touch anyone or anything that anybody has touched, quite frankly, because people are still really gross. Nobody's learned anything from
COVID. And it's hot. I'm all sweaty. It's hot where you're at too. It's like 109 out here today. So
yeah, dude, we're getting your temperatures, and I'm really pissed off about that.
I heard Texas is getting like hammered, and it's bizarre.
Yeah, it's really weird weather. That's actually causing a lot of pain in the agriculture world as well. This hot weather.
Oh yeah, it's a mega drought out here. I know. I'm sure you've heard about that with like Lake Mead and the Colorado River and everything. Like they're at, I think at current rate, it always speeds up in the summer and then slows down as it gets a little cooler. But at the current rate, supposedly like 2 years left maybe until the dam couldn't even produce electricity or something like that. Some wild numbers. Wow. But some people seem to think that like they're just gonna all of a sudden cut off water to people's homes or something, which that's not going to happen. What would happen, I think, is they would cut off the sending so much of it to California agriculture, because something like 15% of it, which is a huge amount, gets sent over for like winter growing of stuff. So like the fact that you can buy peppers and stuff in the store anywhere when it's winter is because they're growing it out in California, and they're sucking a huge amount of water from that. So they'd probably be like, hey, you're on your own. You have to build those desalination plants or something.
Right. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Long before they would just cut off water to people's homes and the casinos and be like, sorry, guys. Because that would just be like absolute chaos.
Is there an actual desalination plant? I feel like I heard.
No, they just shut one down. There was plans to build like a $2 billion one, and California was like, no thanks. And it's like, you idiots. Like, what the? Because and I think they had some like spurious environmental reasons, like, oh, the environmental impact. I'm like, you guys don't have any water. You need to figure out how to do this. But they're actually getting better at that. Like, they're coming up with ways to do desalination that takes a lot less energy and wastes a lot less water and things like that. So that'll be the solution, I think. It's just an energy issue.
Mm-hmm. Everything.
So I'm not too worried about that unless something happens very suddenly. But because what was weird, I was just talking to someone about this the other day too. Is I don't know if you remember 2 or 3 years ago, the supposed like critical water shortage in South Africa, where they have 2 days left of water or something, and then it was getting like super bad, and then all of a sudden like no one talks about that anymore. I guess they're okay. Not everyone died, right? So I don't know exactly what they did about it, but I mean, these things, the more it's just like the oil, like the lower it gets, the more worthwhile it becomes to do all these alternate methods, like the desalination, like building a pipeline in from somewhere else, like you can pipeline oil in. Why couldn't you make a pipeline from the Great Lakes or something? Who knows? You know what I mean? Like there's solutions to this stuff that are expensive, but certainly not impossible. So that one I'm not too worried about, because it's just going to get more expensive. That's going to be the issue. It's going to get more expensive.
They actually want to, I don't know who exactly, but somebody wants to pipe from the Mississippi River, I think, to the Southwest. And
that's what I'm talking about. Like,
really upset about this. Very, very upset about it, because they're like, don't take our water.
Right.
And I kind of get it. And then at the same time, I'm like, I don't know what the long-term solution of this is going to be, of the water.
I think it's a desalination, I think, is the long-term one, because there's not infinite, but there's plenty of water if you can get the salt out of it. So it's not even an issue. So then it just becomes like an energy issue.
Mm-hmm.
So it's there, but it'll just when everything else is already becoming more expensive. It's like I was talking about everything happening at once. Now the water is going to be more expensive too. And something that we've always paid almost nothing for, it feels like, even out here, water's not expensive.
Yeah. I actually saw it raise recently. I saw a gallon of water. It used to be $1, and now it's like $1.29. I noticed.
Well, I mean, at the tap water, like at your house and everything. Yeah, bottled water is always more, but
yeah. Still, I like the dollar water. $1.29. It makes a difference. Now it's like the $1.25 store. I have to pay an extra 25 cents every time I go in there.
I just get the filter so I can get out the fluoride. I have a reverse osmosis filter, a tabletop one, so that way I don't have to pay for bottled water. I like that a lot.
That's what I'm thinking of getting. They're a little pricey, but
they are
really worth it.
Yeah, I want to do because now I own the place, so I want to get like an under sink one because I just have a desktop one or a countertop one that I got when we were renting still, and it works really well. The thing with RO though is they do like waste some water. They're more efficient nowadays. Like it's kind of more like 1-to-1, but it used to be back in the day like it would waste 3 gallons for every gallon because it has to be like a backwash process that gets like weird chemicals in it. So then it would just drain away. So now it's more like 1-to-1. But I only use it for drinking anyway. I wouldn't want to get the whole system, for every drop of water in the house get filtered that way because that would just waste too much.
Yeah.
But I also have a pool in the middle of the desert that lowers pretty quick. But that's like my.
Does it really?
Oh yeah, I have to fill up add water every week in the summer.
Oh my gosh.
And that's there for preparedness purposes, not being decadent. An extra 12,000 gallons, to have in the apocalypse. If something happened, I would cover it up with some tarps and stuff right away.
Oh yeah,
because it evaporates pretty quick. And I still do have water barrels too, just in case. So it's trapped, can't get contaminated or whatever. But it's nice to have an extra 10,000 or so gallons there sitting there waiting.
Nice.
Although you can't just drink it right away. You gotta let the chlorine come out of it.
Right. You got a little evaporate to get out of there. Yeah.
Sick. I need to do a video on that too, drinking from the pool.
Should. Just drink straight from it. You're fine.
I mean, you're not going to die. You'll probably throw up, depending on when the last time you put chlorine in it.
Just a little bit at a time. Just a little
bit. But I've also heard that if you pour it back and forth or make it turbulent, it'll off gas a lot quicker. So theoretically, if you go for an hour,
for an hour, I was just about to say how long. Jeez.
I mean, I would try it as long as possible. I wouldn't want to throw it up.
There you go.
It says Eric fills his pool with pure Brita. Brita is worthless. It's just for taste.
Brita is worthless.
It's good for taste and stuff like that, and minerals maybe, but don't count on Brita to filter out pathogens or chemicals or heavy metals or anything like that.
Nope.
You want to get a Berkey style. There's other brands because even them you have to have a secondary fluoride filter. The RO takes out pretty much all that stuff naturally, but there's some heavy metals. If you got a water from a parking lot or something with oil and stuff in it, there's not many filters that won't get messed up by that. So you want to be careful. See, chug pool water TikTok challenge.
All right.
I'm just starting it. The TikTok, the Shit Hit the Fan TikTok pool challenge. Right. Kids, it's better than a Tide Pod or whatever they were eating a year ago.
Oh my god!
And some people have saltwater pools, so those you can't actually even.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's actually it's healthier to for your body and stuff to just have saltwater than a bunch of chlorine. But
I would think
you would have to distill it then.
Right. Now you need the reverse osmosis or the distillation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, reverse osmosis will get clogged up pretty quick with salt water. It theoretically, I think, will get it out, but it'll mess up your filters pretty quick.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, outside of inflation, that was a real heavy chat. Monkeypox, inflation. I actually saw this article recently that said the 10 worst canned foods that you can buy. And I'm really offended as a prepper about the stuff that they mentioned.
They have spam on there? Don't tell me they insulted my spam.
Listen, I don't think they named spam, but they did say canned corned beef.
That's man, and what was their beef with the corned beef?
It's let's see.
They're salt, too much salt. That's what they're gonna say.
Yeah, let's see, what is it?
So instead, eat a soy loaf that has hydrogenated motor oil and sawdust.
It's just the processed meats. They're just mad that it's a processed meat. That's literally it. They're just mad.
Even though everything they eat is probably mega processed. Processed meat usually is referring to being mechanically processed, separated. Not processed in the way that wheat flour is processed or a canola oil is processed. Because the only thing that's technically bad in processed meats would be the nitrites and everything that, opinion differ on those. They're in bacon and everything else and cured meats and stuff, but there isn't as long as you don't get the cheap ones that adds corn syrup and stuff. It's usually just meat and some type of preservative or something.
Absolutely. I think people put a real heavy stigma on processed foods. They say, "Oh, it's processed. It's processed." Like frozen foods, "Oh, it's processed." Yeah, but it was processed as in it was like cut up or something.
Right, not processed as in like filtered through 8 different types of chemicals and then bleached and then like that's what I mean by processed food. Like a Pop-Tart is a processed food. A lump of beef in a can is not processed food.
Right. Yeah.
At least not most of the time. Check the labels because they always do adult. Like even hot dogs now will have corn syrup in them and stuff.
Dude, it is.
But yeah, like corned beef and a lot of those canned things I like because you can't get anywhere near that amount of like calories per can, and it has a decent macro split. Like it'll have carbs, fat, and protein all in one thing. Which if you get like a can of beans, you're not getting any fats. You're getting only a little bit of protein. You know, that's why I like the canned chilies, the canned like Spam, and the corned beef are like some of the best ones I think. And as long as you get the decent ones,
it's got that really good fat in it.
Yeah.
I do like it.
Yeah, and I actually like Spam, especially when it's like thin and fried. Like I have a lot of it. That's good. Eat it with some eggs.
My daughter likes
some powdered egg mix.
Yeah, my daughter likes it just straight from the can, cold.
Really?
She's hardcore.
I mean, it doesn't bother me. I could eat that, but I don't prefer it that way. That's for sure.
I don't either, but she likes it that way.
Right on. Good. She's ready. Yeah, she's ready for the when stuff gets serious.
She will survive the apocalypse, right?
Yeah.
So corned beef hash with over easy egg.
Yeah, that's a good meal. Yeah. It's like a breakfast skillet kind of thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wait. You need to eat synthetic meats or bugs. Don't eat those dirty foods.
Yeah, there's been a lot of this weird like eat bugs thing, and I don't see there's being some like moral problem with eating a bug in certain situations, but this weird push to like we're gonna build a cricket process. You don't eat beef, eat a cricket paste or whatever.
Right.
Like, man, leave me alone.
How is that any better though for like the environment or whatever? You're still farming something. You are still doing something to farm and process something.
I mean, my guess is that it's better according to their metrics.
Right.
Like you could say that, oh, the cows fart this much and create this much of this thing that we don't like. The crickets don't. But that's just them saying what's good and bad. And I mean, obviously insects and fish and certain animals are more efficient at turning food into protein and things like that. And they can probably eat qualities of food that you couldn't feed to mammals and stuff like that, like almost rotten food. Like I always use the soldier grubs, the black soldier fly larvae were great for doing certain things. And you can eat them and they have a great like macro split if you want to. But like acting like this is like the solution to world hunger is to have everyone eat bugs is just stupid.
Yeah,
it should be used for those things, like to get rid of waste. Like how many, like they want us to eat crickets. Meanwhile, they're throwing away all this food every day at supermarkets and buffets. Like take that food, raise the grubs with that, feed those grubs to chickens, and then let me eat the chicken meat instead of making me eat the grubs.
Exactly. You know what's so frustrating about food waste? Everyone complains and complains and complains about it, but there's so many solutions, like what you just said.
Yeah.
There's composting.
Right. They don't do any of it.
There's donating more than we actually, will qualify to donate, to whoever is wanting and willing to eat it. And then there's like people that make dumpster diving illegal because people are getting this perfectly good food out of the dumpster.
So why are you throwing away food that someone would be willing to go in there and eat?
Exactly.
Set it out on a table or something. Yeah, I think my girlfriend's gotten sick of how many times I'm like, oh man, I wish I still had chickens. I can't bear throwing this away. Because it feels like cheating. You take like literal garbage and turn it into like eggs that are better than what you buy in the store.
Yep. And that's what I'm doing right now. It's amazing. I love just throwing all the food at them.
You should check and see if the BSF grubs will. I think they will grow out there.
The what?
The black soldier fly larvae.
Oh yeah.
Because you can take stuff that the chickens won't or shouldn't eat, like rotten food, and literally anything, and they process it so quickly, and then you get like good insects that they love to eat, and it's good for them too. So.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so I would love to. I wish I had chickens again. Soon, maybe one day.
Just do indoor chickens. That's fine. Just give them a grow light or something. They're good.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. Pork and beef is awesome. Lasts forever. Crickets as proper now said. Cricketess? I'm not sure what that
is. Cricketess? Yeah, I don't know what that is. What will the crickets eat? Well, that was a funny, yeah, that's what
Yeah.
we're talking about. And I think
Yeah.
Canadian Preppers is talking about that too. And like I said, I'm guessing their excuse or reasoning would be that they can eat quality of food and scraps and stuff that you couldn't do anything, because they'll still have to eat some kind of lettuce or leafy green or grain or something. But maybe you could give them like the really low quality stuff, probably, and the stems and trimmings that you would need for something else. So I'm not saying this stuff shouldn't be done. I think it's a great way to eliminate waste. And then people that want to can eat it. Like I said, you can use that to farm tilapia and all sorts of aquaculture and birds and everything. So we don't have to eat the cricket paste.
Right.
And then
I have eaten crickets.
Closed loop. I've eaten them too. Like I said, I'm not squeamish about that. And I'm not one of these that thinks there's like I'm above eating lobsters are just sea bugs.
Lobster.
I can hear myself. There's an echo, I think.
Oh, really? I can't hear anything.
Really?
I'm going to. Okay. So it's a good environmental practice to eat all the insects. Again, that's the whole discussion we're having. Like, I don't know, like, whether it's going to impact the environment any more. You have to think about the millions of people that you're feeding, and it's still going to be a huge process to feed those millions of people, whether it's with bugs or it's with animals, or it's with any other agriculture, vegetables, fruits, whatever. It's still going to be a huge process to feed these millions of people. So
right. Yeah, that's why I think much better ways to create like almost closed system loops to not waste. There's so much. There's like, we're talking about having to eat bugs when there's probably enough food being wasted in the U.S. to feed twice as many people.
Yeah,
as we are 100%. Right now.
It's ridiculous.
And especially then you factor in like if it really got strict and got down to it, all the arable land and fertilizers and everything is just being done for plants that are just decorative and everything. Like all the people out here that still have yards. Like there's a guy, like one of my next door neighbors spends like 25 hours a week on his like little 100 square foot yard. And I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Get some cactuses. Like I can't complain too much about the water usage, because like I said, I have a pool, but it just seems like such a waste of effort and money.
At least your pool could actually come in handy.
Right. And I enjoy it. Maybe this guy enjoys trimming his 100 square foot yard and watering it and doing all this stuff for like literally like 20 hours a week. I'm like, dude, you need to like pick up some different hobby or something. This is a waste to grow something that produces food. If you're going to spend this much time like tending to worthless plants, at least make them like plants that produce some food or something.
I hate lawns, and I listened to this one podcast where lawns were actually introduced. I can't remember the exact year. I'm not going to quote that, but they were introduced in order for it was for like a home and garden type of contest or something. And like they introduced lawns and they like made it this big, huge deal. And so everybody in the country then had to have a lawn. And so now it's just this thing that everybody has lawns, and it's like a staple of every household that they have lawns.
So dumb. And it's even to the point where I'm always ranting about how like the front yard is even dumber to begin with. Like, why do we have like there's small lots usually in the suburbs, and they waste it by having like a front yard? Like, what are you doing with that? Like, push the house forward and then have a huge backyard that you can at least live in, have your kids playing. If you wanted to grow something, you could. You don't have to be as worried about how it presents physically. And especially out here where like literally my front yard is just gravel. It's literally gravel with a couple of cactuses and stuff. Like, it's awesome because any plants that are there, they're ones that grow with the natural amount of precipitation. I don't have to spend like tons of time and water to keep this special type of weed alive for no reason.
Right.
So there's like everyone has their thing, I guess, but it's like that one's just weird to me. And like I said, if that's being done in parking lots and parks and private land all across the country, and tons of resources would be being put into that. If even half those resources were converted to food production, that would be another immense.
Yeah. If everybody just had a little bit of food production in their front yard, backyard, they could be feeding them and themselves, and we wouldn't need such reliance on all the other agriculture and stuff. So it's you talked about weeds, and people actually get rid of edible weeds from their yards just so they can have lawns.
Just to look perfect.
It's backwards. It's crazy.
Just have like a real rows of something productive. But like I said, the front yard's kind of dumb to begin with. It's literally just aesthetic. They don't need to be nearly as big, if anything else. So.
But we can make beautiful aesthetic front yards with, growing food. I mean, like, do people think that, like, food producing plants are ugly?
Or at the very least, like indigenous plants, like something that grows in that area without having to use fertilizers, without having to add water. Like every place, even out here, has plants.
Yeah.
So use those plants and not something that you have to like struggle to keep alive.
The drought resistant plants. Yeah, absolutely. Right. Yeah.
So that's, I think, what people are going to be doing over the next few years. Like, I think we'll see a huge, because some people have said, who was it that I was watching? I forget whose video it was. I think it was Southern Prepper one, actually. He was talking about how he doesn't foresee there being like actual starvation level shortages in the U.S. specifically because we do produce so much, but they will just get really expensive and everything, and that will happen elsewhere. I hope that's true. I'm not 100% convinced. I think some of those things will happen not necessarily because of production, but because of like logistics. Like they're not like out here in a bunch of places, like it has to get transported, it has to get treated. If even the fertilizers, all that stuff, the chips for the trucks that transport it, the plastic for the bags to put it in, like there's just so many levels. If any one of those gets messed up, a whole chain happens. And then you might have stuff like pile of vegetables rotting in a field somewhere. It's like, we're producing it all, but you're not going to get it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think stuff like trees and seeds and all that will become very expensive because anyone with land will be buying that stuff up. Yeah. And if you do have land, I would try to throw some, even get the cheap ones, even if it's something that's not going to produce for 3 or 4 or 5 years, put it in the ground now. I think the best thing that most people can do if they have any sort of like acreage is trees that will grow in that area, because you don't have, once they're in the ground, you don't have to do anything. And you can get like one tree, you can get hundreds of pounds. So like an apple tree, an orange tree, hundreds of pounds of food a year from each one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Takes a long time, but it's totally worth it.
Right. And I mean, if you want to pay more, you can get the ones that are already at fruit bearing age, but
it's not even that much more. I think I got trees that were already fruit bearing for like, I don't know, $50, $40.
Yeah. Somewhere between 30 to $75, depending on the type of tree and everything. Yeah. And then just buy one of those, a couple of those every month if you have land, and plop them in the ground, and you might get a few fruit the first year. And then after that, they'll just keep getting better.
Yeah. I just got a lemon tree, and it's just this little tiny thing, and it's already producing. It gave me one, so I'm very excited about that. But that actually like just started blossoming, and like there's like
that's awesome.
10 on there now, so I'm like really excited. But like
I always love that. It feels like you're, like I said, you're beating the system, getting something for free.
Right.
There's this plant out there. It's just like, free stuff.
And that would be beautiful too. Like if every yard had just like fruit trees all down the driveways and things. So like, people could be picking fruit and giving them neighbors, blah, blah, blah. Wow. What a beautiful society, right?
Yeah. Right. I remember I had, cause there was oranges everywhere in Florida, obviously, but a lot of the ones you buy commercially are different types of hybrids and stuff like that are a lot of times they're made not to even have seeds. And if they do have seeds, they will be like sterile. Mm-hmm. So there was a compost pile at my grandparents' house, and they were throwing, the citrus rinds and stuff away and the scraps. And there was occasionally some seeds, even though they weren't supposed to have any in them a lot of times. But one of them sprouted. So I took it over and planted it in my house, and it grew up. It was like a tangerine tree, but it was from one of these like sterile offspring. So it didn't do anything. I think it took like 10 or 12 years. And then finally one day it had like one like shriveled little thing on it.
Oh.
And then like the next season it was like boom, like full production. And like ever since it's been like just producing tons and tons of tangerines.
Wow.
So it's like cool. Life found a way, like Jeff Goldman said. One way or another it finally kicked in and started producing, but it took a lot longer than it should have.
Well, a lot of people think that you can't do that. That you can't take a seed from like an orange or a
you certainly can. That's how they've all worked. I think a lot of times the commercial ones would take a root stock that's like hardier and then graft it onto one that has better fruit because they're not one and the same. So the ones that have like the sweetest, best fruit aren't the ones that are the most drought tolerant or whatever. So they would like graft them together. So whatever, it was fine to me, and it still tastes a hell of a lot better than any of the ones you can get in the store.
Yeah. It just won't be the original variety, which is whatever. You're going to get something.
Yeah, it's some kind of tangerine.
Yeah, exactly.
Delicious.
Exactly.
Tastes better than anything in the store.
What is this?
Eric, you should start growing Bulgarian tribulus Terra citrus and horny goatweed. I don't know if I can grow anything out here without a decent amount of work. And horny weeds aren't on my menu right now.
Horny goat's weed. Okay, right. Okay, I had a peach tree. Thought that my neighbor was stealing from until I saw a squirrel take 3 peaches in a row.
Yeah, you got to be careful with animals for some of those.
Yeah, so all her onions are gone. Yeah, I have rats and rabbits that were taking a lot of my stuff out in Arizona, and but I solved that problem. But still, like, you know, a lot of people think that, you know, oh, and birds were huge.
Birds are, yeah, they can be, because they can just hard to stop.
Dude, yeah, I had to totally bird net everything off.
Yeah,
and it worked really good.
There's solutions.
Yeah.
And that's another one. Like something like trees are harder for peaches, obviously, and anything like squirrels and rats and stuff can still climb trees, but bigger, you know, fruit are easier or harder to get messed up than something like, you know, berries on the ground or whatever that they can just swoop in and eat up. But
yeah,
the more you have, the more you'll get, even after the animals get there. And then if there was some sort of apocalypse, you could just get a lawn chair, sit out there with a shotgun, and have a couple birds and squirrels for dinner too. But that's something I would recommend for people who have any sort of like orchard or stuff, is get some different types of like traps, because some of these like Kona bear traps or even like the have a heart ones that live catch them, like those work really well. And that could be not only would it help protect your crops, having like some extra meat here and there would be huge. Even if it's just like catching the rats and feeding them to your dog or cat or something.
I had a barn cat and she was eating all the rats. You know, I mean, there are solutions. You can feed feed yourself, feed other animals, do whatever.
And you can do things that are less vulnerable, like potatoes. You know, not as many different animals can mess up your potatoes, you know, underground potatoes.
Yeah.
Maybe like a mole or something, but moles eat mostly insects anyway. So yeah, unless a pig was going to come in your yard and start digging it up. And then you really got a meal.
Right, exactly. Wild hogs. Ooh, I love wild hogs. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I love to eat them. Not I love them, but
yeah. I don't know if I've ever had wild hog. I've heard they can be like really gamey.
Oh no, they're good.
Is it good?
They taste. They're very. It depends. Every wild animal depends on how you cook it. So a lot of people that say like something is gamey or something, it's usually because it's either not cooked properly or they left it out too long before they harvested the meat.
Yeah, so it's just getting kind of rank.
Yeah.
And a lot of those like wild hogs are like half feral pig anyway. They're not like pure like Russian boars or whatever. They're like mixed.
Yeah. They're good.
Makes them like huge, but also probably taste better.
Yeah. They're a little fatty, but that's really good.
Really. Yeah, and that would be good in a disaster scenario. Fat's one of the hardest things to get like naturally.
Yeah.
Fats and proteins.
Yeah. Need a good mix of all that.
Yeah.
Okay. What else here?
So if we don't have any questions, what do you think how's this gonna play out over the next couple of years? Because I've been looking at trying to just get a picture in my head. Because like obviously preparation is 80% all the same things no matter what the scenario is. But obviously different scenarios have different, you know, things that would focus on. Like if you think there's going to be a nuclear attack, you're going to have a few extra things versus if you think there's going to be an economic collapse or whatever. So I've been trying to see what everyone's saying across the board.
I do think that some sort of recession, I don't know about a total economic collapse, but definitely recession, depression type thing, I can definitely see happening within the next couple of years. I mean, experts have already said that we're really close to like the 2008 like crashes and stuff like that.
Right.
So I mean that's leaning towards a recession. I don't know about a full-on depression, but yeah, I mean, we're already seeing the real estate market slow down a little bit, and with the interest rates rising, and car companies are just giving out loans like, candy, and, people just, I mean, it really, so many things are resembling 2008 and that people are just like, it's coming, And so I think the experts said that we're about halfway there. We're not there yet. Okay. We're about halfway there. So that's just definitely what I think. And my husband's like really like anxious right now. Like he's just like, I want to go, I want to go buy a house or get land or do something. I just feel like something's going to happen.
Dude, that's exactly what I was talking about. Like all these people, like literally all these videos, like I have a bad feeling. And because like I said before, any of us who were preparedness minded were always just like, you know what, something bad could happen. So I'm going to prepare. But now it's really like, I think something bad is going to happen. Like, I don't know exactly how bad it's going to be or exactly when it is, but it's hard to shake the feeling that like this is going to get significantly worse over the next, I would say 3 months to 24 months at some point in there. Because I really do think we'll see, I hope Southern Pepper is right. Southern Pepper One is right about the food supply in the U.S. And I suspect to some extent that's true. Like it's not all just going to evaporate, but I think our capability to produce that amount of food is going to be probably hamstrung more than some people think, or could be at least, depending on what happens. And so I think I still think like a lot of what we're using and getting is from last season's harvest and things like that. So when it's combined with all these monetary problems, and then you have everything that's going on overseas, I think definitely we'll start to see some weird stuff within the next 90 days to 6 months. And then where it goes from there is hard to say. Because like you said, it's definitely shades of 2008, but everything's like worse than then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because then it was predominantly related to the housing market, but like everything is screwed up now. And there's no way for them. Like they're trying to reload their gun, so to speak, the Fed, by raising rates just so they'll be able to lower them again when this stuff happens. But like, that's not going to be enough, you know?
No.
So who knows what's going to happen then, but it's going to get weird. The good thing is that I do think that there could potentially in the short term be some good deals on stuff like land or anything. Because I think they're going to but they're expecting there to be some sort of crash. And instead of trying to head it off, they're going to let it happen to some extent to give them an excuse to print. That's not just like them doing it or them messing it up. They'll want people to be like, what are you going to do? So they can be like, all right, we're going to pay you all this money for UBI, or we're just going to print money. We're going to bail it out. But I think they have to wait until something happens to do that. Otherwise it would be viewed as them just causing all this inflation.
Yeah.
So I think they're just waiting. They're slowly raising rates so they have something that they can do. Right. And then when everything goes to crap, then everything will get, actually a lot of things will get cheaper, I think, for a short term until they turn on the printing presses, and then it says,
that's what one of my friends said too. Because I told her that, I was like, oh, we got to buy the land and stuff like that. And she was like, you know what, you may actually be in a better position in a year, because if this does resemble 2008, things will drop.
Exactly. I think it might be a short term, but I also think the tough part about that is you'll probably have to rely way more on like a much bigger cash position to purchase it, because rates will go up, like you said, and the people won't want to loan money because they're like, everything's going up. The rate, even this rate's going to be both. So you'll probably have to pay a lot higher rate. So you'll want to put way more money down. Or if everything is cheap enough, maybe just buy a place outright.
Yeah.
But I think things like cars right now are priced out of control. They'll probably be like, you might be able to get cars for like pennies in like 6 or 8 months, because people are just going to be like broke and just be like, no one will be able to buy cars. Like, please buy my car. But so who knows? But then I think that'll turn around pretty quick. But
the car market, I feel like the car market is almost worse than real estate.
It is, at least here. I mean, like, especially anything, I don't know how it is where you're at, but out here, anything that's like truck, SUV, especially 4-wheel drive or anything like that, it'll be like 1992 4x4 Ranger, 190,000 miles, $9,000. Like, no joke, like 8 or 9,000. And you're like, what are you smoking?
Yeah.
Like, you can get your lips off that exhaust pipe and breathe some fresh air. But like, I guess these things are selling.
I don't know who is buying this. Like,
I mean, there's no other options. Like, I've seen stuff where like my car, the car that I just drive around, because I have a Bronco that mercifully I bought before all this stuff happened, because it would probably, I don't know what it's worth now, but even like the daily driver, which is a little Jetta, I bought that thing it's an 06. I bought it in 2012 for like $6,000 or something. And it has like 150,000 miles on it, and supposedly worth like at least half of that still as like a 15-year-old car with 150,000 miles on it. And I'm like,
oh my God.
And some people are like, their cars are worth more than the new one because there's backlogs, like weird stuff like that. Like a year-old version of the car is actually more expensive than a new one because people have to wait for the new ones. So they're like, screw it, just give me the old one, I'll pay. And pay more than sticker price. And another thing is that you have the option to sell your, like when your lease ends and they're like, would you like to buy the car? Like that ability to buy the car, you can just sell that.
Right.
So like people are selling the ability to buy their car for like $2,000 or $3,000, just the ability to buy it. And then they're still having to go and buy that car. It's like crazy. And that can't last forever, because at least not without wages massively going up too, which I do think we'll see. but not for a little while. I think we'll see that like first, and then they'll have to start getting the money to normal people somehow. Like there's no way, like people like you and I are not getting any of this money yet.
Right. No.
Like this, whatever 25% of all money being created in the last 2 years or something like that, like that's not getting to us, barring like $1,000 stimulus payment. You know what I mean? And
which did help cause inflation.
Yeah, of course, that is literally is inflation, but like that at least is going to people, whatever. But like none of the rest of it is, you know. So I don't know where all this money's coming from to buy $10,000 20-year-old cars with 180,000 miles on them.
I don't know.
Especially when like everyone's crypto is worthless now. Like
right.
You're like, all right, maybe it was some crypto bros. I don't know what the hell's going on.
I don't know. That's the thing. Weird. We don't know. Like everything is so wild and upside down right now. We're all just like, what is happening? Like, I don't think we now there are a lot of things that are mimicking 2008, but there's a lot of things that are just like super wacky that I don't know where this is going. So,
and that's another thing. Like looking at what everyone's saying is that usually, you know, there'll be the little pockets of whether it's separated by political ideology or whatever. Right. Like these people tend to think this is going to happen. These people tend to think that's going to happen.
Right.
But like right now, like no one knows what the hell is going to happen. Like some people think, oh, we're going to get nuked tomorrow. Some people think, no, that's never going to happen. Some people think a full-blown economic like depression, disaster, dirt nap scenario. Other people think, you know what I mean? Like that we're just going to do a little V recovery, depression, inflate. Like it's just all over the place. It's crazy to have so many different people. A lot of them are intelligent, obviously.
Yeah.
Still not know what the hell's going on.
No.
That's weird.
Even the experts. Right.
Like especially the experts.
Yeah. Even that
That's
one.
Anything. Go ahead.
Even the one that I mentioned before that said we're about halfway there. I'm just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. But
I'm still going to be prepared.
The one thing that all the people have that I would care about what they say have in common is just general unease about like the next. So all you can do is focus on the things that we know we're going to need, like power, food, self-sufficiency in general. And a big one, I know you guys just did a video on this too, which I was so stoked to get was the Jace medical kit.
Oh yeah.
Because I had a couple fish antibiotics, but I was like, man, this stuff is janky and I don't know like exactly how to use. So like I think that's one of the best things, man, to get because any of these problems, so much of this stuff is made in China. On speaking of Southern Prepper One's boots on the ground video, every video has people talking about like them not being able to get medicine and of different kinds. And so getting some basic antibiotics is like so important. So go use Morgan's link or mine if you want, but somebody's just get it because that's like enough. It's like, what is it? $200, $250 for a few courses of major antibiotics. It would be worth like literally more than gold in the majors.
And it lasts a long time. Like if you keep it in a real cool spot, it could last years.
Yeah. They said like officially they have expiration dates because the FDA requires that.
Yeah.
But this stuff has been shown to be usable and have potency even 20 years out if it's not like stored in your garage or something.
Right.
So definitely get it on hand. And you can, each person in your household, I think, can get one like every year if you want. But at least get one. One for your household.
There's a bunch.
It has a couple different courses. And I love that it tells like how much to use and what for, because that was the stuff that I was like Googling and like, are these fish pills the same amount? Like having to figure all that out. So
yeah, that was the one thing I really loved, that little pamphlet, because I said that in my video. Everybody kept saying get fish antibiotics, and I'm like, yeah, but then how do you use it and for what and like for how long? What are you talking about?
They should sell that booklet for like $25. So just to have it. Okay, so if you have a bunch of fish antibiotics, you're like, all right, I don't need to buy more, but like I want to buy that thing just to know what the hell I'm doing.
I think somebody did ask, can I get that information? And I was all like, I'm going to tell
you. I mean, that information is out there. You could get that all from the internet, but it's like I said, like dosages for different diseases. It's all right there with it, which is so nice.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be huge. I mean, talk about like a barter item. If someone has some like massive infection or something, they're about to die, and you're like, well, because there's no other way to do that. Like there's all sorts of Stone Age ways to get food and shelter and stuff, but not antibiotics.
Nope.
So I think it's hugely important.
Yeah, I agree. Good plug there.
Yeah, no, I'm stoked about it. Like, I get like $13 every time someone buys one or something. It's like cool. Yeah, I'm an affiliate, fine, but like I only become affiliates for stuff that I want, because if I'm gonna say, hey, this is awesome, this will be the stuff that I actually get.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not an affiliate of this, but I really like this fish
Oh, that's not
kit.
bad. I've heard of those.
Yeah, it's pretty okay. I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty much one of the
it's
best
okay.
fishing kits out there.
Pretty much, I've heard. I've heard the same thing. I appreciate it.
I actually, I had this in my bin. I've had it around. I've just carried it with us everywhere.
Yeah.
And I have this, the K-bar
Yeah, I have
capture.
one of those. I was thinking about like because that's the one thing that I wished I could have included was some kind of like reel or but it was just too big. It would obviously
Oh,
have to be
yeah.
much bigger, and I wanted it to be small. And I'm like, if someone wants that, they can. Yeah, so that's like a casting thing.
Yeah,
And it's not necessary, but it is helpful. Yeah.
A stick will work, but
Right.
yeah, it's nice. But yeah.
Yeah, sticks will work. You can even hold it or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's if you're in an area where they're like fishing would be a big part of your plan for food in the wilderness survival scenario, then get some kind of collapsible pole or thing like that, caster like that.
The collapsible poles are good too. Yeah, I like those. I've had a couple of those. Those are real nice. I actually have
just being able to like reel in because the casting part is not that hard. You can literally just have it throw something out there. It's being able to like reel it in effectively, right? And not getting it tangled up.
Right.
You know, it's funny. Speaking of affiliate stuff, I actually had because I'm sure you get the emails too from all these different random companies about. I think now companies just go to any YouTube channel. I'll get stuff for like makeup and weird requests, and I'm like,
oh my gosh, you get makeup too.
I get everything. Like I think they just spam everybody with it. It'll just be like any sort of product, and I'm like, I'm not. But some of them are stuff that could be prepping related. And one I got recently was like a light of some sort. And I don't want to say the name because I told them, like, I always do the same thing. I always say, I promise an honest review. I don't promise a positive one. Right. But what I do promise you is if I don't think I can do a positive review, I'll let you know and say, this is what, do you still want me to do the review? Because I'll do it. And then this recent one that happened and they were like, no, thanks. You know, it was like a light and it was just had issues with it that I was like, these features are terrible. And like, I couldn't recommend this to my subscribers specifically for like a disaster scenario. Like it works as a light, I guess, but like, yeah. So I had to do
what cost, right?
Right.
I don't want to spend
it was like a solar light and it had a weird feature that like, if the solar panel detected any light, it wouldn't turn on.
It would not?
Right. So it was like only could be used at night. And I'm like, well, what if there's like some, because I was like trying to use it inside. Like my use for it would be in the same way that people use those like walkway lights. Like you let it charge during the day and then bring it inside. And sometimes even like just the reflection from light itself would like get it to like flicker and stuff. So I'm like, you can't even have this turned off as an option. Like that's kind of bogus.
Yeah.
But
don't like that.
Yeah. So I don't just promote any random product.
I don't either. I don't promote any random product either.
Only really good, excellent, top of the line products.
For real though, I'm the same way as you. I don't. I would have been like, no, screw off, Eric. I don't want that.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, most things have ways to do affiliate sales with them now. So you can choose whichever products you want. You know.
Yeah.
So if I'm telling people, and there's other stuff that doesn't, that I've said, hey, go buy this. I told people to go buy those Scepter gas cans from Canadian Preparedness channel. Those things are bomb, and they used to not be able to get them in the U.S. for years. I finally went and bought some, and because I was like, the only way to get them was like if someone was selling them on eBay and they're $250 a piece or something like that. Because I like the plastic ones so much better than the metal ones. I think they're just way tougher.
Really?
But due to like, I mean, I like the metal jerry cans, but they, first of all, you always have to get the good ones, of course. But they can be like punctured and dented a lot more easily. You know, you have to be careful with them. And in the U.S., I think regulations have prevented us from using the plastic ones for fuel cans. They don't make them anymore. It's because they have to, they have all these weird, gas cans have all these weird regulations now.
Oh, man.
So, but he sells them now. He sells those Scepter gas cans, and they're great.
I'll have to look into it.
Yeah, but they're still I think they're like $80 a piece. So they're still not cheap, but it's the price of like a normal jerry can.
Yeah.
Like a good one. If you buy those, I tried to cheap out on the metal ones before, and they like split open on me and stuff, like the crap rust out. And I'm like, oh, I should have just spent the money.
Yep, buy once, cry once, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have a freeze dryer?
No, I do not. I have the I'd love to, but it's not in the budget right now. You guys got one? You guys have a dehydrator, but not a freeze dryer, right?
Yeah.
As much as I would love. What's that?
Do you even dehydrate?
I don't. You can theoretically do it with the sun oven. I haven't tried that, but I need to.
You should.
But I haven't tried a lot. I'm not big into like cooking and all that sort of stuff. So I don't like canning. I've never really done most of that because I just.
So what are you gonna do in the apocalypse? She's gonna eat from the can?
Eat it all at once. I could do it. I know most of the basics of that stuff, but I just don't like doing it. Yeah. So I do need to practice with the sun oven dehydrator because it probably would work pretty well out here. It's so dry.
Oh yeah.
But I would love to have the freeze dryer because I think that's the best. Speaking of meats, like we were talking about earlier, that's the best way to preserve meat.
That's pretty much all I would do with it. I would just have meat in it.
Maybe some fruits, but mostly meat.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying. I was looking into it. I'm like, this thing is like $3,500 to $5,000. Then that's before the cost of the meat and everything. So I'm like, one day, but time being, I'll just stick to canned meats.
Yeah, I hear you.
Especially if you're not gonna get like if you're talking about 6 months to a year's worth of food, it's not as big of an issue. If you wanted for like 2 people, if you had like 6 or 8 people and you wanted to do more and you wanted to do 2+ years, then it would make a lot more sense because you would actually save a lot more money.
Yeah.
That way. And it's freeze-dried stuff is so lightweight. But there was a local auction here that does an auction house that does like Amazon returns and stuff. And they've been getting a weird number of like Mountain House meals unopened, but like I guess returned. So they're auctioning them off. And I've been getting them at like half price. So I've been buying that stuff because it's the freeze-dried meals, and they're normally like $12 each, and I've been getting them for like $4 to $6 each, which I was like, yes. So I've been like all over that.
That's awesome.
As much as I can afford.
Everyone's returning Mountain House. That's funny.
Yeah, or some people are enough that like, but they're not open. Obviously, they wouldn't be selling open food stuff. So it's whole cases or at least the pouches and everything, and getting them for like $27 for 6 meals instead of like $60 or $90 or whatever it is.
It's probably all the people from COVID that like panic bought all of it.
And now they're like, this stuff was expensive. Yeah.
No, I think the return policy is not 2 years long, but I don't know.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it would have to be quick. So some kind of, and it might not have been a return. Who knows? I mean, who knows how that works?
I don't know. It's just old stuff in the warehouse or something.
But I mean, the stuff that doesn't expire till like 2050 or whatever. It has a date on it. So it's like the freeze-dried stuff. That's what's so great about it. Okay. Right. I'll take it.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you wanted to?
I don't think so. No, I think that's pretty much it. Unless there's any last-minute questions or anything.
Let's see. Well, thanks, you too. Okay. Anybody have any other questions or anything? I think a lot of people were just listening. I heard a lot. I saw a lot of
just lurking.
Yeah.
Listen to our beautiful voices.
That's right.
Yeah, there are clouds. Someone says, "Marry me, Morgan."
Sorry.
It's taken.
Let's see. Volunteer to help someone get an education of how to do it. I'm not sure what she was talking about.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No worries.
Okay. Use the bugs for bait. Yeah.
Yeah, you certainly can. I actually have a video where I caught using like a grasshopper with my fishing kit to catch a fish. Right. It's pretty cool.
You know what? I thought you were like gone from YouTube. I legit was like, where is Eric?
Dude, I've heard many people say that to where like they're not getting my videos. They'd be like, man, why hasn't he made videos in like a year? And then they'd look at him making them the whole time, and they're like, what?
I know. I think it was like
YouTube,
months or something. I went back and I saw all these videos, and I'm like, oh my god.
I got on somebody's list or something because I don't know if you've seen. I did like a post in like the community section where every once in a while one of my like videos will start to do okay in the algorithm. And literally my trend line on it goes like, boom. And it was like a right angle to where it just gets nuked and like is completely killed. And I'm just like, these mothers. So I don't know. And then lots of subscribers saying stuff like that, that they're not getting my videos and not getting notified, that their comments like don't get posted and just stuff like that.
What did you say?
I got on somebody's list, pissed off. Who is it? Google? Do they own YouTube still?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the Zuckerberg, but somebody. Sheryl Sandberg. Who is it? I don't even know who that.
I have no idea who it is.
Yeah. Somebody who doesn't like me.
Yeah.
Because I get like no residual views. Like they don't show my video to anyone. Like only my subscribers watch them. It seems like, because you can look at the data. I can see that like years ago I used to get like 70% of my views from recommended. Now I get like 10 or 15% or something like that So they only my subscribers see them. So then it's like I don't get anywhere near as many residual views from a video because once people watch it, they're not gonna watch it again.
Right.
So it doesn't not getting shown. And so I have like way less views and revenues than I did when I had half as many subscribers. It's brutal. Pretty wild. I don't know what's going on, but they don't like me.
And mine's almost the opposite. Like nobody's showing anything to the subscribers, but they're showing it to everybody else. So like I don't
That's good.
I kind of like I don't get
at least you're showing it to somebody.
That's true. It happens much later. So like at the first I get like a few hundred views and I'm like, what is going on? And then like and then all of a sudden boom, it explodes and I'm like, okay, whatever, I guess. Like
yeah, and I've had a couple like that, but then like I said, then they just get like and they get like killed, like literally nuked. It's wild.
YouTube just doesn't like us anymore.
Yeah.
Anymore. It's been a while.
Yeah, they never like. Someone says it's because I'm a maniac because of the Killdozer thing. Yeah, maybe I am a maniac. I got like a Killdozer shirt.
Oh, yeah. Okay, here's a question. Yes, I do actually. As crazy as it sounds, I actually had a lot of success in the desert, and things were actually going really well. So cool. It may have just been like my particular area or something because. As you know, one desert is not the same as another.
Yeah, it's totally different. There's like the high desert and all this other different stuff.
Yeah, even like the Nevada desert's different than Arizona. New Mexico's from Arizona. All these different deserts. California deserts are different. They're all just a little bit different, and they all have different aquifers. And even like where I was on a really good aquifer, and just like 2 miles down the way was a terrible aquifer that was like 1,000 feet down or something.
Costs like 30 grand to get a well put in or something.
Dude, yeah, not even feasible because there's so much agriculture on that aquifer. And so I had an aquifer that was like 300 feet down, which for the desert is really
that's
good.
Pretty normal for out here.
Yeah. So, but yeah, just kind of depends. I always tell, and then I knew somebody who was closer to the mountains, the Dragoon Mountains, and they had a well that was like 70 feet. I was like, what? Dude, I couldn't believe it. But
that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So
must be in some weird valley or something that like collects in there.
Yeah. Yeah. I always
a lot of the places out here, you're not even allowed to do a well. Even if you wanted to go down the 1,000 feet it would take or whatever. If you're like in anywhere near the city area, they won't just let you put wells down in.
Really?
Yeah, because the aquifer's so precarious, like the water table and everything.
Yeah, we were looking at Utah and just randomly looking at land, and apparently you have to buy. It wasn't
like water rights or something.
Yeah, I think you had to buy water rights for like a certain area, like an area of land. So like if you bought 5 acres of land, you could only buy the water rights for that like little 5 acres. And then you could have, and then there were even restrictions on how you could use that water. So you had to, it was weird. It was super weird. So like,
I mean, restrictions like that aren't really anything to worry about if there was a disaster scenario, but like for homesteading type stuff. Yeah. Cause we've seen articles about places that tell you can't even collect rainwater technically.
Yeah.
And like, that's bullshit, but I'm like, good luck stopping me, but
yeah, right. It's water that falls from the sky. The amount of water that I collect is not going to affect the aquifers. I promise.
It's just going to end back up in the aquifer anyway. Like if you just let it fall on the ground, is that any different than collecting it and then pouring it on your plants? Or you know what I mean?
Yeah. People don't really think. I don't know what they're.
You're not trucking it out of state or something,
right? The things people make illegal is absolutely insane. What did somebody tell me the other day that was illegal?
Oh, who knows? There's all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. But yeah, man, I'm getting a lot of spam right now.
Yeah, it's gotten bad lately. One of the things that I've seen a lot of bigger channels complain about, usually you have to get around the 100,000 mark or more, is the people like spoofing your screen name, like trying to look exactly like it with profile pic, and then trying to get people to like message you or send crypto or WhatsApp or whatever and pretending to be the person whose channel it is.
Yeah, I had that on one of my recent giveaways, the Jace giveaway. I had the bot came and
I think they looked for like giveaway keywords.
Yep, I think so.
Because I've even heard of some where people on Twitter, people will be like, so and so, you won.
Yeah.
Like legitimately, and then they'll show up pretending to be that person with like a very similar name to try and claim the prize before they can.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah. Third time spam has shown up. I know. Whatever. Anyway, what is this? 120 feet. Hand pump?
That's a good hand pump for 120
feet.
feet. I thought they normally went down to like 40 or 60 feet with a good one.
Yeah.
That's great for the 120 feet.
I want to know which one you're using.
Well, if the well might be 120 feet, doesn't mean the water table is.
That's true.
Water table might be 40, 50 feet. But if not, if it's pulling from 120 feet, it's a good hand pump.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Or you're very powerful.
Yeah, so water's spraying out. Doing enough shake weight that you can.
Oh my god! Did they still sell that?
I have no idea.
Okay, okay. Well, I think that's it. I'll let you go. But thank you so much for having me. Thank you everyone for being here and participating in all that. And obviously, if you don't know Eric from Rule the Wasteland, I'm pretty sure I put his link in the description.
Appreciate it.
If not, I will do it. And I'm going to put a link to the survival fishing kit just because.
Put an affiliate link. You know what? Go ahead and put your affiliate link on there.
Thank you.
Buy yourself something nice with the 3.5% or 4% or whatever Bezos gives you.
Right. Well, thanks again for being on. And all right. I'll talk to y'all later. Conquer tomorrow by preparing today. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye, everyone.